Hi, everybody. Kristen again from Inner Evolution Counseling here in Frederick, Maryland. Welcome to the second Wellness Wednesday of 2024. Last week, we were talking about setting New Year's resolutions and starting small. This week, we're going to continue on that theme of starting small by looking at how we set and then keep resolutions. A resolution is really just a fancy way of saying goal, isn't it? But for some reason, at the new year, we try to make these goals that we set for ourselves more meaningful. So, why do we set the goals that we do? Why do we choose certain goals in the new year and maybe not any other time of year? Well, partly because socially, we're taught to make resolutions in the new year. People like to let go of the year that has ended and have a better experience in the year ahead. And so, with this in mind, let's talk about which resolutions that we make. Do we make sweeping declarative statements for our resolutions? Like maybe this year I'm going to completely give up processed sugars completely. I'll totally change my whole diet and lifestyle from day one. I'll read a book a week for the rest of the year. We make these big sweeping change plans with no real thought for how drastically that resolution might change our lives. And then, if we fail at keeping our resolutions, we might feel shame, sadness, and guilt over that failure. There has got to be a better way to make and keep a resolution, right? I certainly think so. I think the trick is not to change what we resolve, but how we resolve to do it. Not many people can completely change their habits so entirely overnight. Change takes time and change takes practice. And so here are some ways that I have come up with and found really useful in my life to help make these changes and make them stick. Again, we're going back to starting small, making your changes in small increments. Sit down and map out your schedule for 1 week. In that 1 week, what are your recurring things that you have to do every single day? Things like work, school, if you have kids, your kids' school or after school activities. What household chores need to get done every day? Once you've mapped out your daily routine, what are the things that you could shuffle around and maybe only do once a week? I usually do my regular laundry and grocery shopping once per week and almost always on the same day of the week. It really helped make my routine second nature and I don't have to think about it. I have trained myself over time to do the same things on the same days. Now, that doesn't mean that my schedule never changes. With 3 kids, a full-time job, and college, it changes a ton. That's why having my chores on the same day rotation helps me to stay grounded when other things have to shift in my plans. Meal planning. I don't mean anything elaborate. I mean, sit down and write out the meals that you think you would like for the week before you hit the grocery store. That way, you know what you'd like for the week before you go, and you know what you're going to get and what you're cooking. And it takes some of the stressful guesswork out of daily meal times. I know what we're having for dinner this week because I planned it out. It reduces my stress and makes my day go more smoothly. And then I don't spend 20 minutes arguing with my husband back and forth about what we're going to have for dinner. Because usually that argument looks like, what would you like for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want to do? And then I feel like those vultures in the Disney animated Jungle Book movie who are just constantly back and forth. So what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? It gets really frustrating really fast. So it's nice to have that break in that routine where we know what we're doing because we made a plan. Reward yourself. Celebrate those accomplishments. Did you manage to stick to your new goal plan this week? That's terrific. Show yourself some love and pride in yourself with a little reward. Maybe your reward is a nice meal. Maybe it's a bubble bath, a movie, a puzzle, a book. Your reward should be something that you have wanted to do for yourself or have for yourself. The same way that we would reward a child for doing well, we want to make sure that we're rewarding ourselves too. Positive reinforcement is the best way to ensure that you stick to a new routine. And don't be too hard on yourself if you don't make the goal this week. Everybody has cheat days. Being overly strict on yourself only makes the changes that you want to make harder to get and feel less attainable. Next, we want to practice the concept of radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is complete and total openness to the facts of reality as they are, without throwing a tantrum about it or responding with willful ineffectiveness. It means accepting something all the way with your mind, heart, and body and from the depths of your soul. Just let yourself be entirely who you are without being self-critical. And this can be kind of tricky. It takes time and it takes practice to learn, but start doing this in small ways. Accept that you are a whole person who is not perfect because perfection is made up. Accept that sometimes you make mistakes and that is okay. The mistakes that we make are way less important than what we do in the aftermath of those mistakes. And if we can take a moment to just sit with the information, accept what happened as, okay, that's what happened. Maybe it's not what I intended to happen, but that's how it went. Okay, that was great. That was terrible. It was anywhere in between those extremes. And now I get to move forward doing something differently. What would I do differently to avoid that mistake again? Now, last, don't let your fear of failing stop you. Just because something might happen doesn't mean that it will happen. A common misconception is that we have to accept things that are not facts. Fearful and hopeless thoughts about the future are not facts about the future. They do not have to be accepted as highly probable unless the feared event is highly likely and the causes of the event cannot be changed. So I accept that if I drive in Maryland when it's snowing, traffic is going to be terrible because everybody is panicking about the fact that there's snow on the roads. I can't change that. What I can change is how I react to that situation. I take more time on the roads. Maybe I don't drive if I don't have to, or I put something off until the road condition improves. That's an example of not letting my fear of failing stop me. And it's an example of, fear of other people's failings at driving not stopping me too, but that's neither here nor there. Hopefully these 5 tips can help you make your resolutions more likely to become realities in the coming year. We'll see you next week.